Okay, hi everybody. This is Lisa, and it's time again for another Verbling class. In this hour, we're going to be having a reading class, and I have put the link up in the Verbling chat box. So if you click on the link, it goes to a Google document which has the article. The original text can be found by clicking on the link at the bottom of the Google document. If you want to go to the website where I found this article. It's an interesting article, something that's is very common these days, and that is people spending too much money, more money than they have. Okay, so we're going to read the article, go over the vocabulary, and then if we have time, we will discuss it. What do you guys think when you're reading the article? How does it relate to your own life, what you see in your own towns or own countries? So Hamit's here. Welcome, Hamit.
Thank you.
We'll see if some other people show up. There were some reservations, so if you made a reservation for this class, then you can go ahead and use it and come into the Google Hangouts with us, and we will get started. If you haven't yet made a reservation and you are a Verbling member, then you can just click on the Join Class button, and then that will bring you also into the Google Hangouts. If you're not yet a member of Verbling and you just are looking at the Verbling website and try to figure out what is going on the website, what you're watching right now is an English class, and it's going to get started here in a minute. And we have English classes pretty much all day, every day. Sometimes we have two teachers teaching at once. Sometimes it's just one teacher. You can do all types of things. You can learn about grammar. You can practice vocabulary. You can practice your reading, your writing, your speaking skills. So there's all different types of classes being offered by native English-speaking people who live in different countries around the world. So hi there, Amparo. How are you today?
Hi, teacher. I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
How are you?
Pretty good. Amparo, remind me what time it is right now in Ecuador. I always forget what the time difference is.
3
hours. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm in for people who are watching. I'm in Washington State in the United States. That's the Pacific time zone, and Amparo, you're in Ecuador, which is 3 hours later. Okay. And Hamid, you guys are 9 hours right now.
No.
More?
Yes, it is 10 p.m.
Oh, 10 hours now. Okay, because we did our time change. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Last month we changed it. We passed the winter hour time.
Oh.
So there is one extra difference coming from this reason.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So wait a minute. What time is it there where you are?
Okay, for me 10:04 p.m.
For some reason I was thinking 12 hours difference. It was midnight, but it's only 10. Okay. I'm clear now. All right, so it's 10 o'clock for you. All right, 3 o'clock for Amparo. All right, well, you guys, we'll see if other people show up. I don't know if the other two teachers who were just giving a class, if they have finished yet. Sometimes it can be difficult to end the class right on time, so sometimes students like to stick around and finish up the class before moving over to another one if they want to do another one.
But Lisa, generally you are coming on that time for your first lessons. So it is nice. Yes, it is nice feature.
Yeah, at least for my first class. Yeah, sometimes it can be hard to get to the next one that I do after this. So it just depends on what type of discussion we're having and how motivated people are to keep going. It can be difficult. Sometimes I wish I could do like a straight 2-hour-long class, because then we could really talk more and discuss more, especially when we have more people in the class and people want to have a chance to say something. But,
yes, before the start, I have a question, but sure. I am not sure for that question. Do you know the recorded, the longest making lesson for Verbling. Do you know who is that teacher?
You mean a person who kept going on past the time?
Yes, recorded break, recorded time lesson.
No. Who is it?
Okay, if I am sure it is Lauren, she made 1 hour 32 minutes for one hangout.
Yeah. Yes, I could imagine. You could keep going on and on. Yeah, the Verbling site cuts you off, but it still records and goes to your YouTube page. So
Okay.
yeah. So that sometimes that's why I also have to cut it off, because I know it's gonna cut off on the Verbling site anyways, because another class will be showing. Usually that's how that works. Yeah. So. Yep. Okay, great. So, you guys, we can get started. And if anybody else is out there watching this video and wants to join in with us, you can. This is a live class happening right now, and you just click on the Join Class button. It looks like we do have a few people also reading along with us who have opened the Google document. All right, so let me just explain what this is about a little bit. I'm going to go to this guy's website. This is a guy, I think he's a psychologist or a psychiatrist maybe. And he just writes about different types of topics related to, that are typical for therapists to talk about. So anything, his name is Michael Hurd, he's a PhD, and so he writes about, people or habits, things that we do, our mind, that type of stuff. So he's written some books, and this article is called "Why Some People Spend Too Much." It's a blog post that he wrote yesterday, which was Sunday, November 17th. Okay, so that's him. Now let's go to his article. All right, why some people spend too much. Will Rogers said, too many people spend money they haven't earned to buy things they don't want, to impress people they don't like. It's true. What causes this? Lack of self-respect. If you respect yourself, you don't need to spend money other than for your own sake or the sake of your loved ones, or perhaps a charity or cause that you value. Okay, Hamid, why don't you start us off reading all that?
Okay, why some people spend too much. Will Rogers said, too many people spend money they haven't earned to buy things they don't want, to impress people they don't like. It's true. What causes this? Lack of self-respect. If you respect yourself, you don't need to spend money other than for your own sake, or the sake of your loved ones, or perhaps a charity or cause that you value.
Yes. Okay, so let's go over some of this. So Will Rogers, he's a famous American guy. I think he was a singer or something like that. Not sure. Anyways, he starts off with a quote. So somebody else said this, not the author who wrote this. Too many people spend money they haven't earned. You guys know that to earn money is what the money you make. To make money or to earn money is the same thing. When you work, you get paid. That's the money that you have actually earned. And he's saying that they're buying things that they don't even want to impress. Hamid, what does it mean to impress? Do you understand that?
To impress, I can understand, but I cannot explain.
Okay. Amparo, how about you? To impress. What if I'm trying to impress somebody? What am I trying to do?
To cause some impact in the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yes.
Just appearance.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So to impress somebody means you're trying to make them think like you're beautiful, you're rich, you're very smart. You want them to think something good about you. So to impress people, oftentimes people will dress up. Maybe they will buy a fancy house. Maybe you'll buy a fancy, expensive car. Some people, he's saying, this is what they're actually doing, the quote. So they impress people they don't even like. Okay, so that's the quote. So his article is based off of that quote, and he wants to answer the question. Is it true? He's saying it is true. So this is true, but the question is, what causes this? Why? Why do people spend money that they don't even have, they haven't earned it, to buy things they don't even want, to impress people that they don't even like? And he says a lack of self-respect. So you are missing self-respect. You do not have respect for yourself. He's saying if you do respect yourself, then you don't need to do that. You will spend money for your own sake. That just means to take care of yourself, because you like the things that you buy. So it's just for your own sake. Or the sake of. So to being the sake of just means the reason why you're doing it. So you might also spend money for your loved ones, like your kids, your parents, your family, your friends. Or you might want to give money to charities or other causes that you support, that you value. All right, so those might be other reasons, but these are the reasons. If you have self-respect, those are the only reasons why you would spend money. That's his argument right there.
And Lisa, can we say for the sake interest?
For the sake, well, the way you use the phrase is for the sake of, or for his sake, or for her sake. But if it's for the sake of your own, you could say something like for the sake of your own personal interest. But you don't need to say all that, because that's what it means if you say for your own sake.
Or for God's sake.
For God's sake. That's another thing. That's a completely different thing. Yeah, we say for God's sake when we're kind of like upset with somebody, like can't believe that they did that.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. And welcome to Goliath. And Donato came in, but maybe he's having trouble connecting, so we'll see if he can get back in. Okay, the kind of people embodied by this quote are compulsive spenders. Compulsive spending does not refer to spending above a certain amount. It refers to spending based on irrational anxiety. Irrational anxiety is always based on false premises, thoughts, and ideas. Examples? Okay. Amparo, why don't we go to you for this part?
The kind of people embodied by this quote are compulsive spenders. Compulsive spending does not refer to spending above on irrational anxiety. Irrational anxiety is always based on false premises, thoughts and ideas. Examples?
Okay. So he wants to make sure that he knows what that the reader knows exactly what he means. So the kind of people, so the type of people that he's talking about in that quote up there are embodied. So they represent. So the type of people who represent what this quote is talking about are those people who spend money compulsively, or you can call them compulsive spenders. They can't stop themselves. They keep spending all the time. Compulsive spending does not refer to spending above a certain amount. So it doesn't mean that you spend more than $5,000 a month, or $200 a day, or whatever. It refers to spending based on irrational anxiety. So irrational is the opposite of rational, or sometimes we use the word logical or practical. And anxiety means you're nervous about something, but there's no reason why you have to be. So it's irrational. And this is always based on, so the reason it's you do it because of false premises. So things that are not true, thoughts, ideas, beliefs that you have. A premise is your understanding, like you're working on a premise about something, means the way you're understanding something, and it could be wrong. So if you believe something and it's wrong, then that's a false premise. So here are some examples. I must spend in order to look a certain way. I must look cool and please others, otherwise I'm nobody. Right there, you're concerned with how you look to others as your primary standard of value. That motive is irrational. Okay, Goliath.
Okay. I must spend in order to look a certain way. I must look cool and please others. Otherwise, I'm nobody. Right there, you're concerned with how you look to others as your primary standard of value. That's motive is rational.
So he gives some examples. So if you're spending your money because you think you have to look a certain way, so maybe you have in your mind that successful people look this way, or people who attract certain types of people look a certain way, then you're going to try to look that way. Or if you're thinking you gotta look cool, so that not just because you like to look whatever your definition of cool is, but you're doing it because you want to please other people. Otherwise, you think you're a nobody. You're not, important or something.
Does that mean that you're showing off?
Yeah. You're showing off, but you're specifically, yes, trying to get people to think a certain way about you. And so, of course, when you're showing off, who knows whether or not anybody's going to think the way you think they will. But, yeah, so you can think of a lot of times, of course, this might be a normal thing that young people do, teenagers and stuff. They're trying to figure out this kind of stuff, like, what happens when I wear this? What happens when I look like this? What do people think of me? And so people, they kind of play around with that kind of stuff. But right there, it's saying you're concerned, so you're kind of worried about, you're wanting to know how other people think about you. How do you look to them? And that is your primary standard of value, rather than what could be a different way would be to be happy yourself. So you're looking to others to kind of give you your value rather than looking to yourself. And he's saying, the author, is that motive, so that thing that motivates you, that wanting to have other people think you are smart, pretty, valuable, whatever you want, is irrational. It's not rational. It doesn't make good sense. Rationally speaking, you don't live life for others. You live for yourself and for people or causes, enterprises, goals that are important to you by your own choice, by your own values and standards. The minute you start living for others, you'll start to feel like you must put on a show. Buying things is a way to put on that show. Okay, Imad, you want to read that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Speaking, you don't live life for others. You live for yourself and for people or causes, enterprises, goals that are important to you. By your own choice, by your own values and standards, the minute the minute you start living for others, you will start to feel like you must put on a show. Buying things is a way to put on that show.
That show. Right. So rationally speaking, so again, I put the definition for rational. It just means whatever's based on logic or reason. Okay. So you don't want to. So rationally speaking, logically speaking, you don't live your life for others. That this is his argument. You live for yourself, and maybe for people or causes that are important to you. So enterprises are things, not just businesses, but also things you do, and your goals, that kind of stuff. But you have your own choice about it. That's why you would choose to make that important for you. And that you make your choice based on your own values and your own standards. Like your standards are what you like and why. So everybody has their own values and their own standards. He says the minute you start, so as you could also say as soon as you start living for others, then that's when you're putting on a show. And like you said, Goliath, you're showing off, or we say you're putting on a show. And this is when you might buy things, not because you actually really like them or value them, but because you think it will make other people think a certain way about you. Other people think about you in a certain way. Yes. If I own this object, car, house, clothing, whatever, then I'll be worthwhile. But your things don't make you worthwhile. The competent use of your mind makes you worthwhile. You ought to be proud of your mind's accomplishments. But when your mind's accomplishments lead you to have money or wealth, you already know what you've accomplished. Okay, Hamid?
Okay. If I own this object, a car, house, clothing, whatever, then I'll be worthwhile. But your things don't make you worthwhile. The competent use of your mind makes you worthwhile. You ought to be proud of your mind's accomplishments. But when your mind's accomplishments lead you to have money or wealth, you already know what you have accomplished.
Mm-hmm. Right. So whatever the object is the thing that you're buying, any of those things. You're thinking that if I have this, then I will be worthwhile. Then I will have importance. I will be somebody. But your things, so again, this is his argument. He's telling us he doesn't believe that things make you worthwhile. Instead, this is what he believes is what makes people worthwhile. The competent use of your mind. Competent means the able. So you're able, you're skilled, you're using it in a good way, showing that you know how to do stuff. So with your mind, if you're using it in a good, competent way, then that is what is giving you your worth as a person, as a human being. You ought to be proud of your mind's accomplishments. So your mind, like Hamid, you would know about that. Like if you wrote a paper, or you did a successful experiment, or you wrote a song, or wrote a piece of poetry, or anything that you accomplished with your mind, you can be proud of. You ought. Ought is another way to say you should be, you could be, I would be if I were you, that kind of thing. But when your mind's accomplishments lead you to have money or wealth, so like a lot of people these days who are wealthy, like Steve Jobs, was the creator of Apple, or one of the creators, Bill Gates, those kinds of people that are very famous and well known for what they have done with their minds, yeah, they've made a lot of money, or they have become very wealthy. But the point is, you being the person who did that, so like example would be Bill Gates, he knows what he's already accomplished. He doesn't need to go out, buy something expensive to show everybody, to show other people. He knows it himself. That's what this guy's saying. There's no need to prove anything if you're rational and healthy. Sure, you spend some of that money and wealth on what's important to you, on what you enjoy and what you consider valuable. But this isn't for show. This is for enjoyment, fulfillment, related to the fruits of your labor. Okay, Amparo.
There's no need to prove anything if you are rational and healthy. Sure, you spend some of that money and wealth on what's important to you, on what you enjoy, and what you consider valuable. But this isn't for show. This is for enjoyment, fulfillment, related to the fruit of your labor.
Mm-hmm. So you don't need to prove anything. Does everybody understand that word, prove? To show some, like make sure everybody knows I have to prove myself. No, you already know that you accomplished something. You're good. And he's saying, of course, so sure, of course, you probably want to spend some money, especially if you've made a lot of money. You're going to want to buy things that you like, that you enjoy, and that you think or consider are valuable. but not for showing off. So not just to show other people what you can buy. Instead, it's for these reasons: enjoyment, fulfillment. You feel fulfilled, you feel content, you feel happy, and you're able to do this because of the fruits of your labor. The fruits of your labor is the results of your labor, whatever you accomplish. So it'd be like the song, the poem, the business, whatever. Rogers' quote, so again up here, this is Will Rogers right here, the top. Rogers' quote makes reference to spending money you haven't earned. Sometimes this is the result of theft or mooching. However, more often it consists of living beyond your means, most likely through credit card or similar debt. It's not theft, but it's irrational. In some cases, it even leads to bankruptcy. Okay, Goliath?
Yeah, I want just to add something. In my country, in my culture, there is a saying. They say, "Eat what please you, but you have to dress what please the others." This is a really saying in my country. Just remember it. So
cool. Yeah, I was thinking we could probably discuss this after we finish reading. So I would like to talk about that more.
I remember it. Okay.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Rogers' quote makes reference to spending money you haven't earned. Sometimes this is the result of theft or mooching. However, more often it consists of living beyond your means, most likely through credit cards or similar debt. It's not theft, but it's irrational. In some cases, it even leads to bankruptcy.
So to make a reference to, so that just means it kind of refers to or talks about spending money you haven't earned. So again, you make a certain money, like maybe you make $2,000 a month, but you're spending $3,000. So you didn't make $3,000. You're spending money you don't actually have. And of course, that could result. You could have that kind of money because of theft or mooching. Like a theft, of course, is when you steal somebody, but mooching is like sometimes, you know, if you have a brother and he's always asking you, hey, can you give me $10, or hey, can you give me $15? You're spending money that you didn't earn. He would be spending money. So if you're mooching off of somebody, it means you're asking them for money all the time. You know, sometimes young adults do this with their parents, maybe when they're just starting out and they don't really know how to handle their money very well. They don't have enough money, and so they you go out to dinner with them, and then they say, hey, can you give me $5? I want to go to the movie or something. So that's kind of mooching. It has a negative connotation. So my example isn't exactly mooching, but if you did it all the time and the person you were asking for money all the time didn't like it, they might say, hey, stop being a moocher. You know, stop mooching off of me. I don't want to give you any more money. So that's one way of spending other people's money or money that you haven't actually earned yourself. He says more often it consists of living beyond your means. So spending more than you actually make. Your means are what you have available to you. So if you don't have the money, the only way right now that people do that basically is to get a loan or use a credit card. So if you have a credit card, obviously you can spend money and then you have to pay it later, or some similar debt like a short-term loan or something like that. It's not theft, so he's saying obviously it's not really theft, but it is irrational. It's not reasonable or logical to spend money that you actually don't earn or have, and so sometimes it can even lead to, that's where it can end up. You could end up in court, in a bankruptcy court, basically not being able to pay your bills because you did this so much that now you have $50,000, $90,000, $100,000 that you can't pay, and so you go bankrupt. The fiscal bankruptcy results from the moral bankruptcy fueled by the psychological/anxiety issue I'm discussing. We sometimes see this with celebrities, particularly people who hit it big while quite young. Some people handle this very well. Others, as we know, blow up in a very public way with emotional breakdowns and the like. In these cases, they don't know how to handle their anxiety. Okay, Imad?
Yeah. The fiscal bankruptcy, from this point,
yes,
results from the moral bankruptcy fueled by the psychological anxiety issue I'm discussing. We sometimes see this with celebrities, particularly people who hit it big while quite young. Some people handle this very well. Others are, as we know, blow up in a very public way, with emotional breakdown and the like. In this case, they don't know how to handle their anxiety.
yes. So fiscal bankruptcy. Fiscal always just refers to money. So a financial bankruptcy is resulting from moral bankruptcy. So bankruptcy is when you run out of money and you cannot pay your bills, but he's also using the word to mean a moral bankruptcy, when you can't get yourself together morally. So knowing what the difference is between right and wrong and figuring that out. And so the cause of fiscal bankruptcy, he's saying, is because of people's moral bankruptcy. So they're, he's calling it a moral thing here, fueled by. So if it's fueled by, that's what's giving it the energy, the life. So it's your psychological issues or anxiety issues that are making you have this moral bankruptcy, this lack of knowing what you should or shouldn't do in a rational way, and therefore that results in your financial problems that you're having. So he says we sometimes see this with celebrities. So celebrity is a famous person, or somebody who, even if they're not famous like a movie star or something, they're in the news. So maybe they could even be a politician or a successful business person. They are somebody who is famous, and we often read about them in magazines or on blogs or something like that. Particularly people who hit it big while quite young. So those are often singers or musicians or movie stars who hit it big. So that means they're very successful financially when they are very young. And some people can handle it. To handle it means you take care of it. You're okay with it. It doesn't get out of hand or go crazy. But other people blow up in a very public way. So blow up. They go overboard. It's a disaster. They have all this money and they spend it on all these crazy things. And then and it's always in the public eye. So we're always hearing about it. The public is hearing about it. And it usually includes things like emotional breakdowns. So we see pictures in like the tabloids of, movie stars, actresses, things like that, actors who are having emotional breakdowns. They're crying, they're having tantrums, they're becoming upset, that kind of stuff. In this case, this is an example of how they don't know how to handle their anxiety, their nervousness. They're always trying to control what other people think about them, but they don't know how to handle that pressure. All right. They suddenly have a lot of money, but they do not have the self-respect to match it. As a result, they squander it on range of the moment activities that don't make a lot of sense, fiscally or otherwise, but allow them to feel like they're acting, in the eyes of others, their peers, the way they're supposed to act. Okay, Hamid.
Okay. They suddenly have a lot of money, but they do not have the self-respect to match it. As a result, they squander it on a range of the moment activities that don't make a lot of sense fiscally or otherwise, but allow them to feel like they are acting, in the eyes of others, their peers, the way they are supposed to act.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me first go over, because I didn't write it in the Google chat, I wrote in the Verbling chat. Yes. About Goliath, you mentioned, can you say boosted instead of fueled? So in that last paragraph where we talked about what is fueling this, you can't really say boosted by. Boosted would give, if you used that word, it would give you a sense more. Boosted is like it gave you an extra push. But fueled is more like, using that word, it's more like steady. So if you think, it's like the difference between talking about fueled, like gas in your car. When you put gas in your car, gas is what fuels your car. It's what makes it go. But maybe if there was something special that you put in the gas, like special additive or something, it would give your car like a boost. It would make it even better. So a boost is like a little bit different. It's like to boost something is to like give it a push, to give it a little bit something extra to make it happen. But fuel is more like the steady thing that makes it go. So that's the
like
difference
feed?
there.
Like to
what?
feed? To feed.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yes, that would be a better one. So, they get this money all of a sudden, suddenly, it's like they did one, they're working hard, and then all of a sudden they make it big. They sell a lot of albums, or their movie makes a lot of money, and then the next movie they make $3 million, so it's kind of can happen suddenly. But for some reason, some of these people don't have the self-respect to match it. So their money grew, but their self-respect didn't grow so that they could equal it. To match it means to go along with it so that it's in alignment and they can handle it. So instead they squander. That means to spend it recklessly, just like if you squander away $500, it means like in the morning you had $500 and in the evening you don't have it, but you don't really know what you bought. Maybe you bought some dinner, maybe you went to a movie, but it wasn't really anything important that you can remember. And it was a lot of money. Of course you have to pay to go to a movie, to go see, to go eat dinner or something, but to squander, it means you just spent a lot of it, like, oh, here, okay, I'll buy that. Oh, yeah, I'll buy that. And that's why he's saying it's usually you squander money on range of the movement activities. That's kind of an interesting use of words. I wouldn't use that so much. I would say more like in the moment activities. So you can imagine like a movie star or celebrity or an athlete who all of a sudden has a lot of money, and then they just take their friends out and they just like buy them drinks, and oh yeah, I'll buy you that new pair of shoes, and we'll go out to dinner. So it's just like in the moment doing all of these things, and they don't necessarily make a lot of sense fiscally, like financially. Like it's not necessarily a good idea to just go spend $10,000 giving your friends a party on a weekend or something like that, for yourself for your own personal finances, or otherwise, like maybe those people don't even know you very well, but you're trying to impress them. So this is the thing that he says here that's interesting. He says it allows these guys, these celebrities, to feel like they're acting in the eyes of others, their peers, their friends, or the other, athletes that do the same thing, in the way that they're supposed to act. So he's kind of saying here that a lot of these people just think that's what you're supposed to do. Oh, now I'm a multimillionaire. I'm supposed to throw big parties. I'm supposed to drive a fancy car or 2 or 3. I'm supposed to buy an expensive house in Hollywood. And so a lot of times people are doing it just because that's what they think they're supposed to do. That's the way you live as a celebrity. It's not based on their own values and what they want. Celebrities who suddenly possess a lot of money have the option to indulge in drugs to whatever degree they wish. They can easily afford lawyers for any legal troubles they encounter. This makes them different from the mainstream of people. However, they're no different from other people who lack self-respect, who need to look at a certain way in the eyes of others. Okay, Amparo?
Celebrities who suddenly possess a lot of money have the option to indulge in drugs to whatever degree they wish. They can easily afford lawyers for any legal troubles they encounter. This makes them different from the mainstream of people. However, they are not different from other people who lack self-respect, but who need to look at certain way in the eyes of others.
Mm-hmm. Good. So to possess suddenly means to own. So all of a sudden they have or they own a lot of money. And of course now, compared to regular people, they have the option or the chance. You can choose to indulge, which means like to get as much as you want. If you indulge in drugs, it means you do whatever you want. If you indulge in food, you just eat a lot of food, to whatever degree. So they can indulge to a large degree or to a small degree, but it's whatever they wish, whatever they want. And they can easily afford lawyers, so they can pay for lawyers if they get into any legal troubles or have any problems with the law. As you sometimes hear, that's usually on the news, some movie actor or something has just done something and now they're being arrested or put in jail and they're going to court, so that happens a lot. So that, of course, makes them different than mainstream or normal people who are not wealthy, but they are not any different than the other people who lack self-respect. So even people who are wealthy lack self-respect, and they are always worried about how they look. They want to look a certain way, a special way, a specific way in the eyes of others. Their anxiety level about this is quite high, and as a result, they take drugs to help them feel like they're coping with the extreme anxiety. Materialism gets the blame by religionists, socialists, and other puritanical mentalities for what really is an anxiety issue at the root. When people decry materialism, they're really decrying freedom and money. Okay, Goliath?
Okay. Their anxiety level about this is quite high, and as a result, they take drugs to help them feel like they are coping with the extreme anxiety. Materialism gets the blame by religionists, socialists, and other puritanical mentalities for what really is an anxiety issue at the root. When people decry materialism, they are really decrying freedom and money.
Okay. So he is trying to make a point here, a case, an argument that really what is going on here is that they have very high anxiety levels about how they look, how people perceive them. As a result, so one of the things that could happen is that they may take drugs to help them feel better, that they're coping with the extreme anxiety. To cope with something means you're dealing with it, you're trying to manage it, and so that's what he thinks a lot of them are doing by buying all this stuff, using their money their way. They're coping. They think they're coping with it. But he's saying materialism. So materialism means when you value material goods, and so you buy a bunch of stuff. And so he's saying that materialism gets the blame. So people who are very religious. So in the United States, that could be something like you hear the Christian right. If you look on TV, you might see evangelical preachers and things. Socialists, people who in this country, anyways, when they talk about socialists, they're usually describing a person who wants people to have more of the same amount of things, material goods, rather than some people having a lot and some people having nothing or very little, or other puritanical mentalities. Puritanical gives you the idea of very moralistic, very religious. It has to do with the history of the Puritans, Puritan religion, Christian religion, that came here before this country was born from the colony. They are the ones that lived in the colonies and stuff before the United States was the United States, and they were very puritanical, saying what is right and what is wrong, and being very judgmental. And so those kind of people it's just materialism. People value material goods. And he's saying that's actually not the cause. It's the anxiety is at the root. The bottom line is that people are doing this because of anxiety, not because of materialism. To decry something is to announce it publicly. So when people decry materialism, they're really decrying freedom and money. So they're talking about limiting people's freedom and what they do with their money. But the fact that some people mismanage their freedom and their money to spend however they want because of anxiety is no reason to blame money. It's reason to blame the anxiety. and the lack of self-respect and rationality about life giving rise to it. Notice that Roger's quote refers to pleasing people you don't even like. It's true. Okay, Ahmad?
But the fact that some people mismanage their freedom and money because of anxiety is one reason to blame money. It is reason to blame the anxiety and lack of self-respect and rationality about life giving rise to it.
And then read that. Ahmad? You turned your mic off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you did. I was going to have you read that too.
Nice that Roger's quote refers to pleasing people you don't even like. It's true.
Yeah. All right. So the fact that some people mismanage, they don't do a good job of managing their money or their freedom. Obviously, here in the United States, if you have a lot of money, you're free to go spend it however you want. But they don't manage that freedom very well. But the problem is not that they have all the money, it's that they have the anxiety. So there is no real reason to blame money. There's not a rational reason to blame the money per se. It's reason to blame the anxiety and the lack of self-respect and rationality about life giving rise to it. So to give rise to something means like the cause of it. So what's really happening, according to this author, is that, yes, people get a lot of money, but money is not the problem. It's their own anxiety and their lack of self-respect and the way that they act in irrational ways. And then he goes back to the quote, so talking about doing things to please people that you don't even like. He's saying again, this is true as well. The less you respect yourself, the less respect you will have for people that you choose to be objects of admiration. How can you admire or respect someone that you yourself chose when you don't even feel that way about yourself? Okay, Hamid.
Okay. The less you respect yourself, the less respect you will have for people that you choose to be objects of admiration. How can you admire or respect someone that you yourself chose when you don't even feel that way about yourself?
Okay. So the less you respect yourself, the less respect you will have for people that you choose to be objects of admiration. Objects of admiration are just the people that you admire. How can you admire or respect someone that you yourself chose when you don't even feel that way about yourself? All right, so this whole article, obviously, is talking about the idea of anxiety and self-respect.
And Lisa,
yes?
the last paragraph looks like a tongue twister.
I know it is. The less you respect yourself, the less respect you will have for people that you choose to be objects of admiration. It's not the best. It's not the most well written last paragraph. But the point is, you have to look at who you're admiring as well, and do you have respect for them? Do you have respect for yourself? So, for example, if you're looking at somebody, I don't know, like let's just take a celebrity, and you really, really like this celebrity, yet you notice that they're having all these problems in their life, then you're choosing to admire these people, but maybe it's giving you a hint that maybe you also don't have self-respect because you're choosing to think that these people are so great, when in fact they're people who are having their own problems with a lack of self-respect or anxiety or problems with how they spend their money and that type of thing. All right. So this obviously was an opinion piece. I mean, he was making an argument about something. Somebody could argue a different way. They could say that's not true. They could disagree with him. I'm going to ask you guys now, what do you think about this argument that he's made? Do you think that it is true that people spend money in these irrational ways, let's say, because they lack self-respect or because they just want to impress people? Hamid, do you believe that that's at least one reason why people might spend money they don't have?
It is true time to time, not always, because we sometimes don't know how we spend our money. For example, especially if there is some sales campaigns from companies, we go to that and we don't need any, for example, dress or wearing clothes, but we follow the people and we see the prices. Normal money is, for example, $100, but when we see, one day we see the money is $50. So we don't go. We run to buy these clothes or like these things. So it is time to time true.
Yeah. Okay. So, but and Goliath, you wrote greed, but the point of his article was that we can call it materialism, we could call it greed, we can have a judgment, but the real reason why people are doing it is not necessarily because they are greedy. That is what we could say if we look at what they're doing. Oh, they're just greedy. They bought 3 cars. They only need 1. But in fact, if they're doing it just to try to impress people, then that's an actual more fundamental psychological problem about having anxiety or lack of self-respect. Do you agree with that or not?
Another point is people sometimes are jealous each other. I mean, for example, one neighbor bought a new car, and it is X brand car, and my car is old, so I am jealous, and I am going to go to buy new car. So sometimes people think something absurdly.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then, but that would be like an argument for his point, which is if you are buying something only because you're jealous, that means you care about like what other people think. Like, you know, if you buy the car, oh, he has a better car than I do, then you would go out and buy the other car because you want to have a better car. You know, that's like you would do that for impressing people, not just it would be different if you went out and said, oh, he has a nice car. Oh, I like that car better. That's a really nice car. I think I will sell my car and buy that one because I like it better for myself, not because people will think I'm cooler or as good as him. You know the difference? Yeah. So Goliath, what were you saying? What did you think?
Oh, I said in this article, the author is blaming anxiety, but it's not all. I think this is a greed and with lack of self-respect or it could breed or generate the anxiety itself because people want to earn something that they don't have, and always this thirst of power and fame, like he said. But anxiety is not really the cause. I think it's a greed that bring people when they don't reach this point or this goal, they will be anxious. So I think sometimes it could be maybe sick people, but normal people are usually greedy, not really anxious. But if they don't reach this satisfaction or this feeling, they always seeking for to buy more houses and more cars and I don't know, dress expensive. I mean rich people, and they will be anxious. So maybe anxiety for simple people, but this one I don't think so. It's my opinion.
So are you defining the word greed greed with a D, greed. The typical definition is that somebody is buying something that is just way beyond what they actually really need, and they want to keep it just for themselves and their own comfort.
Yeah, I know people here in my country that are buying houses.
Yes.
Really, and they never, how you say, use those houses, or and the people near them, they are poor. They don't have even where they are, how you say, homeless.
Yes, homeless.
So I don't know why they are buying things that they will not need. They don't need.
Well, do you think that
anxiety? I don't think.
Well, anxiety is what he's saying, what fuels it, but it also is like a lack of self-respect in the sense that, like, I think what he's trying to make a argument, but a person might buy a house and never use it, not because they like that house or they value it, but they're trying to impress other people. They're trying, like, maybe other business people or other celebrities, or maybe they think that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm rich. I'm supposed to buy houses, you know?
To defend this image.
Yes, exactly. So people know I'm rich, right? Instead of just living in one simple house that you like and that meets your needs, or even a nice fancy house, but it's all you need. And then with your money, you kind of just, you don't have to. We call it flaunt it. Flaunt something means to show it off. Like show everybody you have it.
But I agree about this lack of self-respect.
Okay.
I agree totally with that.
Amparo, what do you think about the article?
Well, that depends on the personality of the people, that low self-esteem, that it's worry about what the other thinks about him or her. So that is the main reason of spend more money than they really have.
Yeah. Is that something that happens very often in Ecuador? Do people use credit cards and stuff to make purchases?
People who have a level of life and they want to show some appearance. Yes, it's usual. People who work at TV shows. Usually they try to do that.
And Imad, how about in Syria or in Egypt? Considering that in Syria the dictator has tons and tons of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wealthy families spend a lot of money for many reasons.
Yeah.
This could be one of them. Pretending to be like if you are the Western family, not like if you are coming from Mars, from the moon, for example.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it's not like that. You talk about how people here spend money.
Yeah.
It doesn't always like showing off, or maybe in this way being jealous of some people having something different.
Yeah.
Main reason might be something else. Could be like they don't have morals, for example. They could spend a lot of money for things that just to show that they are rich, but in a different way.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they own. It's not about their own outer look or how they have like a car or something. No, it could be something different. It could be, for example, making a very big party in a very big place, and spending a lot of money or wasting a lot of money.
Yeah.
You could imagine just money being like just burned for nothing.
Yes, exactly. That would be the same word that we read in there called squander, to squander their money. It's like to waste your money. Yeah. To spend it kind of recklessly or on things that you don't even remember where it went. Yeah. Okay, you guys. Well, good reading, and I think you guys, was it pretty easy to understand, or how was it for you?
Piece of cake. Good. Yes.
Piece of cake. Good. All right. Good. All right. Well, thanks for coming to the reading class. I'm going to stop this one now and start the next one, which is a speaking class. We're going to I'm going to ask a bunch of questions, and you guys will have a chance to speak. It's kind of like for IELTS preparation, but in general conversation also. So maybe I'll see you there. If not, then I'll see you another time. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 And then that will bring you also into the Google Hangouts. If you're not yet a member of Verbling and you just are looking at the Verbling website and try to figure out what is going on the website, what you're watching right now is an English class, and it's going to get started here in a minute. And we have English classes pretty much all day, every day. Sometimes we have 2 teachers teaching at once. Sometimes it's just 1 teacher. You can do all types of things. You can learn about grammar. You can practice vocabulary. You can practice your reading, your writing, your speaking skills. So there's all different types of classes being offered by native English-speaking people who live in different countries around the world. So hi there, Amparo. How are you today?
Hi, teacher. I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
How are you?
Pretty good. Amparo, remind me what time it is right now in Ecuador. I always forget what the time difference is.
3
hours. Okay.
p.m.
So I'm in for people who are watching. I'm in Washington State in the United States. That's the Pacific time zone, and Amparo, you're in Ecuador, which is 3 hours later. Okay. And Hamid, you guys are 9 hours right now.
No.
More?
Yes, it is 10 p.m.
Oh, 10 hours now. Okay, because we did our time change. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Last month we changed it. We passed
in the class, and people want to have a chance to say something. But
yes. Before the start, I have a question, but
sure.
I am not sure for that question. Do you know the recorded the longest making lesson for Verbling? Do you know who is that teacher?
You mean a person who kept going on past the time?
Yes, recorded time lesson.
No. Who is it?
Okay, if I am sure it is Loudon. She made 1 hour 32 minutes for one hangout.
Yeah. Yes, I could imagine. You could keep going on and on. Yeah, the Verbling site cuts you off, but it still records and goes to your YouTube page. So
okay.
Yeah. So that sometimes that's why I also have to cut it off, because I know it's gonna cut off on the Verbling site anyways, because another class will be showing. Usually that's how that works. Yeah. So. Yep. Okay. Great. So, you guys, we can get started. And if anybody else is out there watching this video and wants to join in with us, you can. This is a live class happening right now, and you just click on the Join Class button. It looks like we do have
enter our time.
Oh.
So there is one extra difference coming from this reason.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So wait a minute. What time is it there where you are?
Okay, for me 10:04 p.m.
For some reason I was thinking 12 hours difference. It was midnight, but it's only 10. Okay. I'm clear now. All right, so it's 10 o'clock for you. All right, 3 o'clock for Amparo. All right, well, you guys, we'll see if other people show up. I don't know if the other 2 teachers who were just giving a class, if they have finished yet. Sometimes it can be difficult to end the class right on time, so sometimes students like to stick around and finish up the class before moving over to another one if they want to do another one.
But Lisa, generally you are coming on that time for your first lessons. So it is nice. Yes, it is nice feature.
Yeah, at least for my first class. Yeah, sometimes it can be hard to get to the next one that I do after this. So it just depends on what type of discussion we're having and how motivated people are to keep going. It can be difficult. Sometimes I wish I could do like a straight 2-hour-long class, because then we could really talk more and discuss more, especially when we have more people. Okay, hi everybody. This is Lisa, and it's time again for another Verbling class. In this hour, we're going to be having a reading class, and I have put the link up in the Verbling chat box. So if you click on the link, it goes to a Google document which has the article. The original text can be found by clicking on the link at the bottom of the Google document. If you want to go to the website where I found this article. It's an interesting article, something that's is very common these days, and that is people spending too much money, more money than they have. Okay, so we're going to read the article, go over the vocabulary, and then if we have time, we will discuss it. What do you guys think when you're reading the article? How does it relate to your own life, what you see in your own towns or own countries? So Hamit's here. Welcome, Hamit.
Thank you.
We'll see if some other people show up. There were some reservations, so if you made a reservation for this class, then you can go ahead and use it and come into the Google Hangouts with us, and we will get started. If you haven't yet made a reservation and you are a Verbling member, then you can just click on the Join Class button. I have a few people also reading along with us who have opened the Google document. All right, so let me just explain what this is about a little bit. I'm going to go to this guy's website. This is a guy, I think he's a psychologist or a psychiatrist maybe, and he just writes about different types of topics related to that are typical for therapists to talk about. So anything, his name is Michael Hurd, he's a PhD, and so he writes about, people, our habits, things that we do, our mind, that type of stuff. So he's written some books, and this article is called Why Some People Spend Too Much. It's a blog post that he wrote yesterday, which was Sunday, November 17th. Okay, so that's him. Now let's go to his article. All right, why some people spend too much. Will Rogers said, too many people spend money they haven't earned to buy things they don't want, to impress people they don't like. It's true. What causes this? Lack of self-respect. If you respect yourself, you don't need to spend money other than for your own sake or the sake of your loved ones, or perhaps a charity or cause that you value. Okay, Hamid, why don't